The deepest lessons in life almost never come with fuss. They reveal themselves in seemingly insignificant details, on a casual grandfather advice, in the mother's attentive look, in a repeated gesture of the neighbor, or in a prayer murmured in the silence of the room. These lessons do not announce their importance, but they are silently shaping our destiny. As a Jew, I learned that life does not become unexpected miracles, but by small habits that we cultivate day after day. Why then don't we see the changes we so much desire? Because we seek grand signs and ignore the little steps that actually build the way. Poverty, weakness, or exhaustion do not arise overnight. They are the accumulated result of almost imperceptible choices we make on autopilot. Imagine a container where a drop of water falls every day. In a month, he is full. In 1 year, overflows. Such are the habits that fill our lives, either with light or shadow, depending on what we choose to repeat. There is a saying in Jewish wisdom that says, "Wise is the one who learns from everyone." This means that it is not the inflamed discourses that alter our course, but the discreet lessons that often go unnoticed. A man once noted that his father locking the door with 2 padlocks every night, not out of fear of thieves, but to demonstrate a principle. The family inside that home was sacred. This simple gesture was transmitted to the son and grandson, and today they value home more than any salary. An almost mechanical movement of the hands has become a lesson that foreign generations. The first essential lesson we must absorb is that the internal organization is worth more than brute force. Money can get lost, health can fail, but the inner order is what sustains us when everything else collapses. I saw my grandfather, after the war, meticulously write down each spending on a notebook every night. He had no fortune, but had method, and it was this method that allowed him to build a workshop capable of sustaining the family. Today, scholars call this discipline or self-control. In my family, we simply called respect for life. The second lesson is that attention is our most valuable currency and we exuded it without realizing it. Irrelevant news, empty discussions, purposeless conversations, these are small thieves that steal our most precious good. Where we put our focus, we reap our results. I met a man who decided to stop feeding controversies on social networks every day. In a year, the time it saved was enough to master a new profession. His phrase was revealing. I stopped nourishing the ideas of others and started to feed mine. In Jewish tradition, this resembles the Shabbat, one day to silence the external noise and learn to hear one's voice. The third lesson teaches us that gratitude transforms our perspective. When we thank, we come to see not only what we lack, but also what we already have, and who recognizes their own riches, however small, has the ability to multiply them. I met a person who started every morning saying, "Thanks for bread and the air." His life was not easy, but his happiness surpassed that of many rich. Modern psychology confirms cultivating gratitude expands our horizons. It frees us from chronic dissatisfaction and gives us energy to grow. These silent lessons are not mere beautiful words. These are practical actions. Each may seem trivial, but it is the details that rewrite our destiny. Organization, attention, and gratitude are the first 3 steps that, applied today, can change your life forever. They don't require money, contacts, or luck, just honesty with oneself. The fourth lesson, capable of redirecting an existence, is the courage to start over. Many cling to the past as a lifeguard without realizing that he has already become an anchor, the job that no longer inspires, the exhaustion relationships, the habits that steal years of life. All of this is past to which we cling to fear of the unknown. But the truth is that zero is not an end, it is a gateway. In Jewish tradition, Shabbat teaches us this: one day a week, we stop everything, and it is only in the break that we see clearly. So it is in life. Restarting is not failing, it is having the opportunity to build something better. I saw a man who lost everything 3 times: first the business, then the family, last health. Each time, I thought, it's over. But each time it started from scratch, with a blank sheet of paper, drawing plans and rebuilding step by step. Today, elderly, has serene eyes and quiet soul. He says, each of my zeros was a gift, because he taught me how to build with more wisdom. Modern philosophers call this antifragility, the ability to get stronger after each fall. In my family, we simply called stubbornness the one who doesn't buy or sell. The fifth lesson is the art of choosing less, but better. Most people run after quantity, more goods, more contacts, more occupations, but the true wisdom is simplifying. My father had only 2 pairs of shoes, a suit, and a few books, but always said, better to have something that serves than 10 that only distracts. Current scholars call it essentialism. For us, that was a basic rule. It does not overwhelm life with what does not add real value. The sixth lesson warns us, Do not confuse money on purpose. Money is like air, necessary, but it is not the purpose. Those who live only for him will always be poor, because he exchanges meaning for survival. I met a man who worked day and night in search of profit. His bank account was full, but his empty eyes, until one day he confessed, I am rich in paper, but poor in the soul. Jewish wisdom teaches that purpose is worth more than gold, because gold is consumed in the fire of time, but the purpose remains. Viktor Frankl showed the world that, even in the darker circumstances, the human being survives when he has won. Why? The seventh lesson is that discipline overcomes talent. How many times I saw bright people waste their gifts for lack of persistence. Meanwhile, ordinary individuals without exceptional skills became masters because they advanced step by step, day after day. It is not the natural gift that creates miracles, but the constancy. At home, we said, it's not fire that burns fast, it is charcoal. It warms for a long time. Current research proves who persists even when you have no desire always goes further than the geniuses who give up halfway. Each of these lessons seems simple, and that is precisely where their power resides. The force is not in complex formulas, but in clear principles. Starts when necessary. Choose quality instead of quantity. Do not change the essentials for the accessory. And remember, persistence is worth more than talent. These truths do not scream. They speak low, but turn lives forever. There is still an eighth lesson, capable of redefining a destination, the ability to preserve attention. We live in a world that disputes every second of our gaze and hearing. Advertisements, alarmists, empty conversations, endless notifications every day sucks us the most valuable, the ability to concentrate. But who is wise knows, attention is energy, and energy must always be under our control. I remember a neighbor who, at dusk, was sitting at the table, kept his cell phone in the drawer, and said to his children, now it's family time. Nothing distracted him, neither connections nor the noise of the street. He heard, asked questions, read with them. His children grew up safe and balanced because they knew that their father's attention was his greatest fortress. Contemporary thinkers speak of deep work. When someone learns to turn off the noise and dedicate themselves to what really matters, they not only produces more, but you live better. Who dominates their focus becomes the owner of their own destiny. For where your attention is, there is your result. The ninth lesson. Transform obstacles into the way. Life is full of difficulties, but the problem is not the difficulties themselves, but how you see them. For some, they are the end. For others, the beginning. A young man from our neighborhood lost his job and thought it was a tragedy, but he began helping his neighbors fixing small objects, then opened a workshop, and years later was known throughout the city. He said, if it wasn't that setback, I would never have found my vocation. This idea echoes both in Stoicism and Jewish wisdom. The obstacle is the way. The 10th lesson. Value the breaks. In our culture, there is the Shabbat, the day of silence, when we stop working. At first glance, it seems to waste time. In fact, it is recovery of time. In the pause is born clarity. In the break, you see what really matters. People today run without stopping, and so their lives become dead end circles. But those who learn to stop leave the circle and follow in a straight line. My grandfather always said, who knows how to rest, knows how to live. These silent lessons are simple. Attention, obstacles, pauses, but they make a person who owns their destination. Remember, it's not the difficulties that break it, but the way you spend your attention without realizing it. It is not the disgrace that destroys him, but refuses to seek a path in it. And it is not the work that exhausts it, but the lack of stops. Jewish wisdom never sought to impress with grandiose words. He has always taught the essentials. Take care of what you have. Seek meaning, no apologies, and it does not fear silence. These lessons are quiet, but it is in silence that the greatest transformations are born. Now, let's put all these lessons together. What combines order, attention, gratitude, the ability to start over, the choice of least but better, the search for meaning, discipline, care management, the transformation of obstacles into the way, and the value of the pauses. At first glance, there are 10 distinct rules. In essence, they are 1. Fate does not change from the outside in, but from the inside out. Poverty, weakness, and discouragement grow where one seeks guilty and refuses responsibility. Wealth, strength, and self-respect are born where someone changes habits, even if no one around believes in the result. It all starts in silence, without fuss, but it is these discrete steps that rewrite life. The wisdom of our ancestors has always been built in small practices, writing, spinning even when there is nothing to spin, read books even when time is missing, thank for the little when the soul calls for complaints, stop and Shabbat when the world shouts work. These habits seem insignificant, but they make a person owner of the time and architect of their lives. Modern researchers say the same thing, only with other words. Some call antifragility getting stronger after the blows. Others have growth mindset, when each day is a lesson. There are those who speak in deep work, when attention becomes their most valuable good. But deep down, it is the same truths as Jewish wisdom preserved for centuries. Think about it. These 10 silent lessons are not philosophy. They are practical tools. The order gives foundation, attention paves the way, gratitude returns energy, the restart releases from the past, choosing the essential simplifies life, the direction gives direction, the discipline turns steps into journey, attention control strengthens results, the obstacles saw trampolines, the brakes restore forces. Together they form the fate you build. And most importantly, this can start today. No need to wait Monday, New Year, or other crisis. Just an honest decision. Stop living in automatic and choose with conscience. What to do now. 1. Write down your week's expenses. No excuses, no illusions. Let the numbers speak. When you come to where your energy goes, you will understand that poverty does not start in the lack of money, but in the gaps we don't see. 2. Reserve one night for knowledge. It can be a book, a lecture, or a conversation with someone who has something to teach. Make this moment a personal investment. In our neighborhood, it was always said, buy bread for the body and a book to the mind, and you will never starve. 3. Eliminate a source of noise, a channel, a habit, an empty commitment. Feel like time comes back. An acquaintance of mine stopped reading news in the morning. In a month, he said, I was calmer and more productive, as if I earned an extra time of life every day. 4. Write what meaning means to you, not to others, not to society, but to you. Without this answer, it will run through the paths of others. With her road gets clear. 5. Try the break. One day without running, one night without phone, a morning without haste. The pause will open his eyes to what was once unnoticed. Remember, destiny does not become shouts or promises. It turns into silence, small steps that seem insignificant, but together build a new life. You are not weak. He just forgot the power of discipline and meaning. Recover it. Life is not made of extraordinary moments, but of choice, ordinary s made with extraordinary attention.